You're listening to the Sports Fix.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Harry Buffalo. Harry Buffalo, join the herd.
Hi, I'm Hector Marinero. You're listening to the Sports Fix.
Live in Ohio, it's time to get your fix. The Sports Fix.
Welcome in, everybody, to the Sports Fix. We are live. We are live on some of the platforms. I don't know. Sorry about the delay getting started here. Some technical difficulties going on behind the scenes, but we are live. We are on the air. The show must go on. So for those of you that can hear us, hey, at some point, everybody will. Welcome into the Sports Fix here, the last on a short week here, last edition of the show, as we are getting ready to head into the long weekend, the 4th of July holiday weekend. But hey, that doesn't mean the week is over just yet here on the Sports Fix. We've got a lot going on. It's hump day, baby. Welcome in, you guys. We're going to do it and do it together like we do each and every Wednesday right here on the Sports Fix. Welcome in, you guys. I am your host, the big daddy on the microphone, J-Rocc, Jerry Myers. Call me what you will, baby. Call me happy to be here on this Wednesday with you as we rock and roll here. Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan, as always on Wednesdays. He's going to join us just a little bit from now here. Actually, earlier than usual today. Dan's going to be here. He's going to be in the house with me doing a couple of segments today as we head into the weekend. So a lot going on. Of course, the dream ends for Team USA. And you know what? I joke, and yesterday I was definitely having some fun joking about it off the air, especially with some other guys. But, man, you watch the highlights on SportsCenter, not of the game, but of the fans. And I'm telling you, man, I love it. I mean, the patriotism, the nationalism, however you want to look at it, I'm with it. And that aspect of it, awesome. Guys face painted with the flag and bandanas. 90% of these cats have never watched 5 seconds of soccer in their life, but it doesn't matter. That's beyond the point. It's a galvanizing thing. It's sports. That's what it is. And it falls to an end for the USA dramatically to Belgium. You know what? I'll tell you what. Check it out. 9.6 was the rating on ESPN. That was the highest ever for a World Cup game there. And I think rating points are like 1.2 million people. So, I mean, that would mean upwards of 10, 11, 12 million people watching that there on ESPN. So a lot of people into it. It falls short there. And the dream is over. And for most people, soccer is also over as well. Just being realistic about it. But hats off to them as they definitely, I think, did better than some people even thought and expected that they would do. So, hey, guys. Let's get in on the phone lines, too. Early and often, let's do what we do. Welcome in, listening live on Spreaker, on Mixlr, on thesportsfix.net, on TuneIn and the TuneIn radio app worldwide, and all of you listening 24/7 on iHeartRadio, Digital Delay, the world's largest internet radio provider, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, SoundCloud, all of the other platforms as well. Welcome in, guys, to the Sports Fix. And as I say, they give me the microphone, but we give you the voice here on the Sports Fix. And I want you to be a part of the show. So do just that with us. 216-539-7535 is the number to call. 216-539-7535. Pick up the phone. Give us a call. If you can't get to the phones, as always, use social media. Facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us at the Sports Fix CLE, always to stay in touch with the show. Email us thesportsfix@AOL.com. Keep in touch with us throughout the show. We'll read the best ones here on the air as well. And don't forget, thesportsfix.net, the mothership, the one-stop shop, as we always say, for the live feed, for the replays, the social media. It's all tied in right there. And you've got a sports headline ticker and everything else right there on thesportsfix.net. And you know what, guys? Starting off, first thing, right off the bat, let's talk a little Indians here real quick before we dive into everything else. And as I said, Dan Wismar is with us. We're talking some Cavs, some Indians with him. Buckeyes got some big recruiting things going on. But the Indians last night, I told y'all when we were going off the air yesterday, forget all of this dramatic talk about losing, or excuse me, not just losing streaks, but the one-hit games, and we're going for history. I said we were going to hit yesterday, and hit the Indians did. But, man, forget the hitting real quick before we talk about anything else. Get into Justin Masterson and that house about that triple play. I mean, come on, man. I mean, Brantley, somebody's going to learn eventually about Michael Brantley, but how about it? Not only do you get the triple play, but you get the double play when it comes to the replays, you know? I mean, amazing sequence there. Brantley to Yan Gomes at the plate, and then the Yanimal to Kipnis up at second base to get the triple play, and then withhold first one challenge from the Indians to make it stand up, and then another challenge to try to take it down. And just an amazing, just a great sequence there. And he's, as I said, even with the one hitters, going back to Kluber's game on Saturday, we have just seen some amazing baseball and some different things going on. And you know what? On the other side of the ball, the Dodgers, I mean, 0 for 9 with runners in, or not with runners in scoring position, with the bases loaded. Pistano, by the way, my man, comes in and takes care of business. But, you know, the Indians offensively get some things going. Nick Swisher, hey, put in some work. Hey, there you go, man. If you're going to strike out, at least contribute a double there and some run scoring. But Chisenhall, all the guys, the entire lineup, with the exception of Michael Bourne, contributed at some point throughout that game there. Justin Masterson. And I want to talk to Dan Wismar definitely when we get on a little bit later here with him, because, again, I mean, you know, you rack up 60-some pitches there through your first 2 innings, sets a bad start there. What's 7 hits? What do you go? 3 innings and 3 batters beyond that, and set the stage once again for the bullpen to have to come through. But come through they did. Talking to some people before the show here about it, and I'm like, man, I'll tell you, that Indians bullpen, they're overworked. Everybody says, how long can they keep going? How long can they keep going? But they do, and different people. Vinny Pistano, man, I hope that's a sign of things to come with Vinny. I really, really do, because the Indians need, obviously, the bullpen. I mean, we got Bauer going today. Again, everybody, with the exception of Kluber, it's unpredictable what they're going to give you. We talk about that from a day-to-day basis. Unpredictable what kind of performance you're going to get. Bauer on the road, even more, as we know, still looking to take care of business on the road. So can they take care of things? Well, we're just a couple of hours away here. 3:10 at odd time here this afternoon, the businessman special, as Dan Wismar likes to call it. But, you know, again, the starting pitching, what can you say? I mean, what else can you say except it continues to be what it is? Justin Masterson, we said, I said I had doubts yesterday. Oh, it was yesterday or Monday. I don't remember. One of those shows, I said, man, Masterson's talking, you know, bravado, man. He says, I'm feeling good. I'm ready. Those 2 days got me going. And then you come out there and again, the short outing and the same thing, you know. And I don't know. Is he talking tough? Is he hurt and he's trying to hide it because he wants to keep being a trooper, which is admirable, but it's a fault as well because it's hurting the team? Do the Indians know he's hurt, but they keep trotting him out there? I don't know. Is he not hurt? Is something else wrong? I mean, it just makes you wonder what it is, because he talked, so what was it, Saturday or Sunday, when he spoke to the media and said, hey, I'm good. Those 2 days were exactly what we needed. We got all kinds of treatment, and I don't know. I mean, here we go again, sitting in the same situation. And maybe that doesn't change anytime soon. I don't know. But it's another spot. And he's one that has to. Talking to Mike yesterday, and Mike, he made some comments on Twitter, kind of going on for an hour about everything that was wrong with the Indians. But, I mean, he really did make a lot of points that made a lot of sense. And you know what? We'll get into some of that. I've got the phone lines going here, so I'm going to stop real quick. I'm going to go to the phones, and I'll let you guys continue the conversation. I am going to the phones. Caller, you're first up on the Sports Fix. Oh, wait, you know what? I should probably unmute your phone before I tell you that you're up on the show. Caller, now you're up on the Sports Fix.
How dare you? How dare you try to mute me?
What's happening, my man?
You know, I don't know if you've been following Bruce and I on your local posting here at J-Rocc, but I will not take a vow. Until camp begins in August, I will not mention or utter any more of the carrying-ons, the dalliances, shenanigans of one Johnny Party Boy Manziel.
Okay.
Bruce and I have beat that horse to death. We've beat it like a drum. I can only say this, and I think you two will have to agree. When his former coach in college was concerned enough, and his parents, to have him tested for booze and alcohol issues, as was reported by the plane dealer, usually where there's a little bit of smoke, there's a little bit of fire. His parents were concerned. His coaches were concerned. This every weekend of TMZ reporting, he's with Bieber, he's with Ducks, he's with Dom
Swans, get it right, man.
Whatever.
Hey, listen, I'm not gonna lie, man. I was gonna admit this.
You know what bothers me is all these
I was gonna
guys
admit this today.
like
I've got a couple of swans
are trying
right
to live
there.
vicariously through this 21-year-old kid. The problem is this 21-year-old kid is the new face and the franchise of the Browns. Is this what we want? And once again, after this issue, after today, I've taken a vow, not of celibacy, but of not.
I got you, brother.
Of leaving this alone until August. Let him party his ass off until he gets busted, or he's in some detox. But you and I can see, everything in moderation is fine. But every frigging weekend, it's a different, party. Jesus Christ! I wish that I could have lived that. And once again, I think all these guys want to say, I live vicariously through Johnny Party Boy. You can't when you just signed an $8 million contract. That means you're a professional now. You're not a campus college, party boy anymore. Show a decorum of being a professional from now on. Grow up, assume the role of what you are, a professional athlete now, and go on with it. Or, what I thought was even more incredible, Joe Hayden saying, well, it's okay to do it, but hide it better. What the hell kind of comment is that? Hide it better.
Brother, hey.
Hayden of all people, I think that he was busted for something or another. He wants to say that it was nasal drugs or something for his attention deficit order. It's absurd how all these adults want to put their head in the sand and say boys will be boys and Johnny will be Johnny. It's like saying let Manny be Manny. Well, you see where the hell that got Manny.
I hear you, my man. Hey, how about them Indians? I got to tell you, until they start playing football, I'm just tired of talking about this kid and his issues and his attention deficit disorder. I'm with you, man, but how about them Indians? What about that triple play last night? Come on, man.
I said, Bruce, stop. And then I alluded to the Indians. Masterson, put this guy on the shelf until he's 100%. Why the hell trot him out there, once every 10 days and say, oops, he's not ready? Let him go on a rehab like they did for McAllister. Make sure the guy is 100%, and until such time, put him on the shelf. What do you say?
How about that triple play last night? How about it? Come on, Mayor. I know you saw it.
Yeah. I mean, it was. But you know what? Why is it that there are some games, and maybe it's just baseball, they get one hit, and then 10 runs? I mean,
I hear you. I hear you. I was just having fun changing the subject on you. I understand your concern about John Manziel. It's the reason that a lot of people didn't want him drafted here. And I'm sure inside the Browns, there's people going, see, I told you this was going to happen. But until they play, I'm just really, I mean, it's one stupid thing after another. He does it himself. He wants it. He relishes the attention and then says, I don't want the attention. And we're giving it to him now. So let's talk about the Indians. And I'll tell you what.
Well, you know what? You and I, and once again,
it's baseball.
You say you don't want the attention, and yet you go to Justin Bieber's house.
I got it. I know what you're saying, man.
And that's what I finally did to Bruce, our friend Bruce. I said, Bruce, stop.
Oh.
Let's not talk about the Indians, because I vowed this is it. If this kid ends up busted somewhere, then Bruce, who has a hatred for the Browns, as you and I both well know, it's been well documented. Bruce hates two things more than life itself: the Browns and the plain dealer. You and I both know that.
All right.
With that being said, Bruce is kind of just laying in wait for Johnny Manziel to blow up so he can say, the Browns suck. They did it again, those damn Browns. This is Bruce's modus operandi. I know. And I like Bruce. Bruce is colorful. He's entertaining. He's my buddy. But he's also transparent. But with all that being said, I like the way the Cavaliers drafted. I like Harris. I think he's a better fit for us than, say, Alonzo G, C.J. Miles. Let Miles go miles and miles away. He had so many years to prove himself here, and he didn't do it. The same thing with Alonzo G. He had ample opportunity. How many guys did they trot out to play shooting forward that never panned out? I mean, we had, what was his name? Caspi. Omar Caspi try it. We had G, we had Miles, we had Earl Clark. Everybody. Christ, we even tried Bennett. Although the problem is Bennett could barely fit out the door to play. Hello?
I'm with you, man. Anything else?
I'm just trying to elude from Johnny Manziel, doing the best I can.
Well, yeah, absolutely. All right, my man. Anything else?
Cavaliers, Browns. Who do you think will be the wide receivers for the Browns?
Oh, I'll tell you what. That's an interesting question. We talked about that yesterday, man. I mean, really, you got to see how it shakes out. I'm really intrigued to see some of these guys. Nobody knows their name because I think that a couple of guys are going to surprise some people. I don't know. I'm interested to see what Anthony Alexander does. Interested in seeing Andrew Hawkins. I think he's going to be a part of it. Burleson, who knows? Miles Austin, I think those are X factors, whether they can contribute or not. And some of the young guys, Charles Johnson, some of these other guys. But I don't know. That's why I can't wait to get to camp so we can stop speculating and start seeing.
With that all being said, like I said, I'm so jaded, and I think the fans are jaded. This is why the Indians have a hard time getting a regular crowd of 25 or 30,000, because the fans always expect the other shoe here to drop, and invariably it always does. They're tired of this win 5-6 in a row and then lose 8, or they go out west, and it's like they get a whiff of the odor of Chris Perez, and they become almost comatose.
Well, you know what? They played well last night. They've got a chance to win here, make it 4 out of 9 on the trip, going out west, playing a couple of good teams. Man, I'll take that, man. I mean, hey, get back home, and they're going to have some crowds this weekend, man. That's for sure. So you're going to get an opportunity to make things up as far as having some more crowds and some chances to go out there and win some fans over. There's a lot of promotions. They just announced they're going to honor Tom Hamilton coming down the stretch here. But, I mean, you've got Jeter. You've got the bobblehead, the Jersey Day, the double fireworks, the 4th of July. There's going to be a truckload of fans coming through Progressive Field on this next homestand. The hell with looking at laying an egg this time and that time. They've got another opportunity, and they'll have to make the most of it. I mean, the stage is set there for them heading home, coming after. But they got to finish things today. But the stage is set for them. My man, I am up against it, my brother. Anything else?
I will let you, well, very, very quickly. I want to give you a quick plug for your wrestling thing for Lake, or is it Lake County or the
No, it's
Lake
with the
Erie?
Crushers out in Lake Erie. Yeah, that's going to be a big show. I haven't talked about it or anything, but
and that's August the 12th, is it?
16th.
August 16th. Scott
Yeah.
Hall, X-Pac.
Yeah.
Let's hope they show up. A great card, part of a great minor league baseball event. I think
It's cool. It's one of those. It's one of those double headers where you got the game and then the wrestling show afterwards. It's going to be really good.
It'll be real good. Okay, buddy, I'll let you go.
All right, the mayor, you have a good one, my man. And he wasn't, hey, he was talking about a specific conversation he was having on one of our Facebook pages, but definitely not looking to single anybody out. I love all the different opinions of people here, man, but we're not. I love you, Mayor, but hey, how about that triple play? I had to keep going back to it, man, because I'm talking. I mean, look, man, I get you, but. I mean, it is so. That's so yesterday's story. And I don't mean it like that. Yes, I'm concerned. I don't want it to be like, oh well, who cares? It's not who cares, but it's. I mean, you have to see it have negative, and then it'll all. It's organic, you guys. The whole thing will happen by itself, man. Meanwhile, I'm half distracted here trying to fix something. We've got some problems on the technical end. Hey, I know some of you are hearing me because I'm talking to you in the Mixler chat room. We're going to take a break. Open the phone lines back up. 216-539-7535. Dan Wismar still to come. We're talking Tribe. We're talking Indians, baby. Talking Cavaliers. Apparently, thanks to the mayor, we were talking Johnny football too. But we're doing it with you next here on the Sports Fix.
The Sports Fix, the show that asks the question,
What you talking about, Lou? What you talking about, Lou? What you talking about? What you talking about? What you talking about, Lou? What you talking about? What you talking about, Lou? What you talking about? What you talking about, Lou?
We'll be right back.
Guys, want to take just a second as we head into this break and remind you about the official business printing source of the Sports Fix, our friends at Signs and Ship. Signs and Ship, I'm telling you, Chris and Pam, they've taken care of me since day one, and they can do the same for you. Whether you're a small business that's already been established and you're looking to grow to that next level and expand your business, or perhaps you've got an idea that you just know is going to be a great business and you need to figure out how to brand it and how to promote it and put it out there, Signs and Ship is the place for you. If you need a logo, they can create one for you. They have a fantastic graphic designer. Business cards, signs, banners, yard signs, mobile advertising, anything you can think of that you need to promote your business, they've got it at Signs and Ship. The best thing about them, too, is each of their locations, whether it's the home base here in Elyria, Ohio that I work with, or their spots in Virginia, Florida, and Pennsylvania, it's all local sourced. Very important to me because we all understand that small business is the lifeblood of the community. So check them out, signsandship.com, or call Chris and Pam today, 440-323-6060, the home office in Elyria, Ohio. Signs and Ship, quality printing at affordable prices.
It's an addiction. The Sports Fix. We'll be right back.
Indians fans, GV Art and Design has unleashed their new baseball collection. This summer, you've got to have one of the hottest baseball shirts available. Indians themes, GV Art has them covered from top to bottom. Chief Wahoo, keep the Chief, one of the hottest sellers going today. GV Artwork, knocking it out of the park, teaming up with Michael Brantley to create a custom Dr. Smooth t-shirt, bringing back an old classic GV Artwork, bringing out the wild thing. Give them the heater design. The Cleveland That I Glove collection continues to grow. New designs for women and so much more. GVArtwork.com, bringing it full force to the plate for baseball season this year. Whether you check them out online, GVArtwork.com, use the sales code FIX10, FIX10 to save 10% on your total purchase. Whether you go to their store in Lakewood, check them out at the Cleveland Indians team shops around Progressive Field, and so much more. GV Art and Design. It's not just a shirt, it's a statement.
The Sports Fix is on iHeartRadio. Download the free iHeart app today. Subscribe to the show and get your fix.
In baseball, miracles can happen when a team works together.
2 out, bottom of the ninth, down to their last strike.
The same is true in the fight against cancer. That's why MLB has teamed up with Stand Up to Cancer. Because we believe that when we all stand up together,
41,000 on their feet.
we can make cancer history.
Now everybody's standing.
What a buzz in this building.
This is beyond a dream. Stand up with MLB at standuptocancer.org.
Hey everybody, listen up.
Listen up, guys.
Hey guys, listen up. No one should ever hit a woman.
Not their wife, not their girlfriend, not their date.
No woman should have to fear violence, especially not from someone they know and trust.
But that's the reality for too many women.
We have to change it.
It's up to each of us, because even one is too many.
Violence against women hurts all of us. Growing up, I was ashamed and afraid of my father when he abused my mom.
The worst abuse of power is when a man raises his hand to hurt a woman. We all have to take responsibility. So if you see someone threatening a woman, step up, speak out, and get help.
Dating violence hurts all of us. So step up and help end it. Because one is too many.
One is too many.
One is too many.
One is too many.
End the violence. Because it's wrong.
Because one is too many.
I remember when I lost my mind. There was something so pleasant about that place. Even your emotions have an echo in so much space. And when you're out there without care, yeah, I was out of time.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix Live here on the sportsfix.net, and that may be the only place that we're live, and Mixler.com. I apologize, Jerry Myers, J-Rocc with you guys here. Apologize for several things. Number one, for being half distracted in the tail part of that opening segment because there's some technical difficulties going behind the scenes, and as you know, I'm not only the host and the producer, I'm the engineer of this bad boy too, and I don't have the slightest clue what is wrong, but clearly there's a problem as the Spreaker broadcast is not going out live over that platform. No clue if it's going over TuneIn, but I think those two are tied in together, so perhaps Mixler and the website may be the only places getting the live version of this show. If that's the case, hey, have no fear. Obviously, you'll know this if you're listening. These will be available on delay as soon as the live broadcast is over on all of the platforms. I'll refeed everything through, but it appears now that perhaps the live platforms are limited. I apologize, and hopefully by the time we come back on Monday, I've got plenty of time to get that figured out. But hey, let's have some fun. Let's do what we do. I'm going to go to the phone lines here in just a minute. My man Dan Wismar is going to join us. Some fitting music in the background because I'm going crazy right about now. But, hey, it is what it is, man. Welcome back in. J-Rocc with you guys here. Phone lines no longer open. I know I had some guys that wanted to get through on the phones. You guys can call in a little bit at the end of the show. I'll open up the phone lines again. Dan Wismar is going to join us, but you can join us. Keep the conversation going on Facebook, on Twitter, facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us at the Sports Fix CLE. Stay in touch with the show, guys, and we're gonna keep the conversation. I tried to keep it on the Indians. I love the mayor. I'm just giving him a hard time, but we're not doing that conversation right now. We were talking some Tribe. I want to keep that going. Talk a little bit more about last night's game and the homestand coming up and all of that with my man Dan Wismar. We'll be all over the place, but that's cool, man. Let's do it. Going to the phones. Big Dan Wismar, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing great, Jerry. How about you today?
Hey, I was going to say fantastic. I don't know if I can go that far, but I was doing fantastic. Now I'm going to step down from that, but I'm still pretty good. How about you?
I have this image of the Wizard and Wizard of Oz, pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. There's you over there spinning dials and, flashing lights and screens and stuff, and I can sympathize with you. It's hard to do a one-man show. I used to do a podcast. Man, it's hard enough to just talk for an hour by yourself, let alone spin all the dials.
And it's live, and the best, you should see me during that last break. I popped in an extra spot. I'm not going to lie. I'm like, okay, God, I need 30 more seconds here. Put something else in real quick. I'm trying to fix this. I don't know what it is, because it's the problem that I have here has nothing to do with, or at least I don't think it has anything to do with anything on my end. The normal, all the settings are programmed in for everything to connect with each other. And for some reason, when I did my normal process here to go on the air, the whatever this is, I don't even know the actual term for this, but it keeps saying connecting every 10 seconds over and over again. So I don't know what's wrong, but I've got 4 days to figure it out. So I'll definitely.
Yeah, well, maybe part of your problem is from sleep deprivation. I know this West Coast strips just kill me.
Oh man, maybe that's it. But
I had to give up on it the other night when we were getting one hit. But I stayed up for the whole game last night, and but you pay the price in the morning, when you're staying up till 2 o'clock in the morning.
You got that right. What with the issue I'm dealing with here is, as you do things and they break, you get experience at fixing how they break. Well, this is something that this has never happened before. So now I'm going, well, what in the world can this be? Because for the last 12 months, I've clicked connect and it has connected, no problem every time. So I'll have to dig into this. But hey, you know what? I've got you with me. We're going to dig back into the show. And like I said earlier, when my man Vic tried to take us off the tracks with the Johnny football conversation, how about that triple play? How about the Indians bouncing back last night? And hey, if they're going to give you 0 for 9 with the bases loaded, take it, because that's not going to happen all the time.
Yeah, that's true. And then I think they loaded the bases 3 times. To no avail. I think they got 1 run out of those 3 bases loaded situations. But it was interesting, and they didn't take too long to get after it in the first inning there with the Chisenhall homer and Brantley. I guess that stat last night that they said how Brantley is tied for the second in the majors for times that he has gotten his team's first RBI hit of the game. I don't know, 13 times or something, which seems like a ridiculous number. But he got the first RBI, and then Lonnie goes deep, and so in the first inning they took care of this one hit nonsense that they'd been going through for the 2 previous games. I don't know if you heard anything or not, Jerry, about has any baseball team ever been involved in 3 one-hitters in a row?
Yes. Actually, we talked about that yesterday.
Did you get some info on that?
Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit yesterday. Bruce dug it up in the chat room that the Mets had done it, and I kind of surmised by that it must be probably the 65 Mets, some early 60s version of the Mets that wasn't very good. But they actually were one hit 3 games in a row, and that would be the only one. So that would be it. They were in rare air, regardless, just being involved in 3 in a row. No, I was wrong. See, I guessed that, and Bruce just corrected me. It was actually the 03 Mets. Okay, well, there you go. It was the 03 Mets that were involved in 3 straight. But other than that, that's it. So that was pretty rare air for them to have Tomlin's followed up by their 2 one-hitters. But they made sure that we weren't talking about that again right off the bat, like you said, setting the tone early. But then Justin Masterson threatening to give it right back to him. And here we are again. I don't know if you heard me in the first segment, but I kind of started on that path, and we'll jump back to it. I love Justin Masterson. Here, I was wondering why they didn't go longer. I thought for sure he would be on the disabled list. And then 2 days off was the magic beans that made him all better. And over the weekend, they're going, yeah, he said he's great. He's ready to go on Tuesday, and he's feeling as strong as ever. And clearly, same results, out quickly, 3 innings and 3 batters later, and you're going to your bullpen.
Well, and you got to give Francona some credit for having the guts to pull his ace in the 4th inning, with a lead, because and clearly it was a right decision because Pisano came in and Zepp came in and they both did the job. But
3 strikeouts with the bases loaded, man. 3 straight, man. What a way to get out of that jam.
Yeah, you really had to tip your hat to Francona on that because it was his call. It took some guts to do that, and but it didn't look like Masterson's outing was going to get any better. It continues to be a source of some real frustration for Tri fans, and you hope now. You mentioned the DL. Now isn't it sort of an obvious move with the All-Star break coming to sit him down and DL him and let's get back after it after the break?
I would think you have to at this point, man. Why keep messing around, man? But I mean, I was suspect all along. We talked early Monday when you were with us here, and I said it yesterday as well. I mean, this was a problem that supposedly has been lingering all season, and they tried to sell us that 2 days was going to be that was enough to fix it. And I'm like, no way. I even said Friday last week, I said, well, they'll take the weekend and then they'll put him on the disabled list and they'll make it retroactive, but he'll be off for 2 weeks here. And then I hear on Saturday's game, Masterson says he's feeling strong. He's good. The day off was all that he needed, and now he's ready to go. And I said, man, now something can't bother you all season, and you can kick it with just 2 days off. Why wouldn't they have just given you 2 days off 2 months ago,
Right. Well, maybe it's because Masterson didn't say anything
and
about
that's
it.
True. That's
true. He kind of kept it to himself. But, and you'd think if it was something mechanical that Callaway would have been all over it by now, and by something I mean the something that is have him unable to show any command at all and control. He's just been walking people, and that's really all it is. Not to mention a little bit of loss of velocity too. But you'd think if that was something strictly in the delivery or the wind-up or whatever, that they would have been able to identify it by now and work on it. That hasn't been the case, and so you're down to something physical now. And now that we know what it is, let's not belabor it anymore. Let's not push it anymore. Let's get him some treatment, some rest. If it takes 2 weeks, that's fine. If it takes 3-4 weeks, let's do it. Let's get it right.
Yeah, you got to think that you have, because that's so key. Listen, you can think, well, Masterson's, an up and down guy, always a 500 guy, whatever. Well, you need him to do something here, because no matter what you think the Indians can do the rest of this season, and I said this with Mike yesterday when we were kicking around, which the great question that he poses is when you start talking about trades, who are you going to trade out and who are you going to bring in that is going to be that much of a difference maker? And one of the things that I brought up was some people go, well, yeah, you got Masterson at the trade deadline. You can dangle him out there. And I'm like, okay, even if somebody wants him, let's say you can. To me, doesn't that defeat the purpose of trading out pitching to bring in pitching? Like that, as much as that sounds like something, if you're buying and not, now if you're selling, that's different. But if you're buying, you don't trade out pitching, especially when you've got a guy that is already to me, that just seems like you're treading water there. So I'm like, you need him to be better in the second half for the Indians to contend. You can't not get a decent second half out of Justin Masterson. Do you agree, or do you think that they can?
No, I think trading Justin Masterson would be a concession to being a seller.
Yep.
And I don't think we want to do that. I mean, your goal in making roster moves at the All-Star break is to improve your starting pitching. You don't trade front of the rotation starters, experienced ones. That's a step in absolutely the wrong direction. So yeah, I'm with you 100% on that. You don't strengthen your pitching staff by moving the guy who's the supposed ace of your rotation, whether he's having a bad year or not.
You know what? But yeah, since the conversation kind of went here, I'm going to pose to you the same thing Mike threw to me, which was what guys out there, like the position that the Indians are in, what trades do they even trade? Because it really needs an S at the end of it, but there's not one cowboy that's going to come in with the white hat that can save the day. They're going to need, no matter what they can do at the trade deadline to bolster this roster, they're going to need their own to win this thing. And they've got so many guys underperforming at various times that's going to be as big as any trade they could make. But even if they do, what trade do they make? Because who do they send out that's not named Lindor that brings you anything of significant value back?
Yeah, I would agree that to me now, because we're so oriented in this town toward the future, I always hesitate to part with top prospects. The Clint Frazier's, Tyler Naquin's and Francisco Lindor's of the world. You just don't want to part with those guys, and then now those are the first people that are on everyone's lips when they start talking trade with you. We had a little bit of this conversation Monday, Jerry, and I totally agree with you that if the additions to the Indians over the second half, the way that we're going to plus our roster in the second half is to have guys like Swisher and McAllister and Kipnis and others who have had less than stellar first halves turn it around. Santana's in the process of doing that. David Murphy broke a 1 for 44 with 3 hits yesterday, so that's a better looking move. And but yeah, it's going to have to come from inside. It's going to have to come from guys like maybe a Salazar, maybe a McAllister, who've given you not much of anything, and certainly a Masterson has to be included in that. Those are the guys that are going to make your roster look better in the second half if they can. That's what we need to have happen.
Now, I agree with you, but the other point, and I don't know if you saw it. Oh, man, those of you guys listening, by the way, I don't know how many of you guys went and looked at the article that we were talking about that Mike dropped. Mike, I didn't even know it was out there. Mike told me about that Deadspin article. I don't know if you've seen it yet with the leaked Astros notes. Have you seen it?
I don't believe I have, no.
Oh, man, you've got to go check it out. Mike told me about it. I'm reading it like on the air while he's describing it to me. I'm going, man, this is no joke. It is somebody leaked. The Astros last year put together an internal database system of all of their trade discussion notes at the trade deadline and during the off-season, and somebody leaked it. It's out everywhere, and it's got all of their notes. There's only one note involving the Indians, but it's got all of the stuff with the Bud Norris trade talks and the different combinations of things that these teams were looking for and that what people were asking for. And he's right. When you read into it, besides the fact that I'm amazed that this stuff got out there, I mean, that is some federal crime stuff, and somebody's going to get tracked down on this thing because they're tracking it down. The FBI is involved and all kinds of stuff. But I'll tell you what, when you see the level of names and prospects and what some of these guys, other teams and GMs are looking for at the trade deadline, and then you compare it, and this was what Mike was making the point, that when you compare it to what the Indians have, I know how we value Naquin and Frazier and some of these guys, but when you look at how it's looked at outside, I mean, the level of what it would take to get some of these prospects, I mean, it's amazing. But this alone, you've got to look it up just as a baseball guy, Dan. You've got to look it up to see these notes, because it's straight up like having all of the teams' files from their trade talks just released publicly. I mean, there's a lot of things. It only had one thing involving the Indians. And it was in November, and it was about the Indians' off-season plans. It was one conversation. I read it yesterday here on the show, but it did acknowledge that they had gotten phone calls about and taken trade calls about Carlos Santana, and it acknowledged that they were waiting on the Ubaldo situation to work itself out before they would be in the market for a starting pitcher. And I believe it was a left-handed bat, preferably in the outfield. That was the only note involving the Indians, but there were notes like that for every team everywhere. What prospects they were willing to trade, what guys they were willing to part with. It's some damaging stuff to get out there, man.
Yeah, I'm sure there's red faces all around in front offices. I try not to put too much stock when I hear about conversations or talks, because they are just that. There's nobody, hardly anyone, I would say, that would be truly untouchable in baseball today. And if someone wants to call the Indians and talk about Michael Brantley, a guy that you and I and every Cleveland fan would consider to be an untouchable right now, I don't blame the front office for entertaining that conversation. No. Nothing comes of it. Whatever, maybe some blockbusters out there that can be done to improve the team. So I try not to get too upset, and I hope people don't get too upset about these revelations, because they were conversations. That's all they were. And there's nobody that we can't sit and talk about over the phone in private when we're talking about two GMs talking to each other about their players and their prospects. So, but yeah, you're right that there's, I'm sure, a lot of embarrassed people that would rather not have these things made public, and that there's probably some steam blowing off of some people's heads in front offices around baseball if that article is as revealing as you say it is.
And not just that, like I noticed one here right underneath the Indians, not just touching on trade talks, but like here's a note says Colorado looking for a corner bat. They bid $63 million on Abreu, and like it's funny because you're even getting into talking about what teams did in free agency. But when you see the level of the packages that a team is looking for, I mean, you're talking about a middle of the road guy, like above average, but Bud Norris. We're not talking about Cy Young here, and you see the packages that they were talking about, and you realize that these teams they shoot for, as Mike said, they shoot for the moon and hope to bring home the stars, and that's the problem when you get involved in that kind of stuff at the trade deadline. So, even if you want the Indians to go out there and find a savior in the trade deadline, who is it and how do you get them? And so it's a lot tougher than people think. But everybody's going to point their fingers and say the Indians have to go. I do agree, but what do you do? Like, that's the thing, is I'm very curious what options, and part of that is if the guys on the team don't help out, it doesn't matter if you do trade for Cy Young. It's not going to be enough.
Yeah, that's true, and I guess certainly the price tags are going to be different if you're talking about a guy like Bartolo Colon or someone whose name has been floated out there as a potential acquisition for the Indians to help that rotation. You're not going to give up blue chip prospects, especially for a guy you're essentially going to rent for half a season and who's already looking back at 40 years old. So it's all relative and it's based on what you're getting. But yeah, you're right. Teams, if they're going to trade a veteran to you at the break, they're going to try to rob your farm system. The Indians have spent the last 3 or 4 years rebuilding what had been a pretty decimated farm system, and even more so after they traded 2 number ones for Ubaldo. It's just getting back to the point now where most of the experts consider it to be a middle of the pack to slightly above average farm system and overall talent level, where for the last couple seasons it's been down near the bottom because it's been sort of farmed out, and the guys that were the good prospects are the guys that are playing on the major league club now. They're just getting it back to the point where it's in that respectable to slightly above average farm system overall, and you don't want to decimate it again to pick up a guy in a short-term situation.
Exactly, and that's going to be very important to watch. And I think that's what's going to determine if the Indians buy or sell is certain players' production over the next couple of weeks, not just the team results, but how certain players, they've got to see that they're going to get some support here before they consider making even a mildly risky move at the deadline. If they do, then I have no doubt that I think they would convince themselves to be buyers. But otherwise, I don't think it will take much for them to go the other way either. The next couple of weeks are going to be really important, obviously, in determining the way the rest of the season goes. Mike even mentioned yesterday, was it Price, talking about what they asked for at one point last winter, and it was some package, it was some combination kind of like Santana, Brantley, and Lindor or something like that to pry him away from them and that'll show you're looking for pitching. The premium on that is even higher, as we know.
Yeah, that's true, and that's and if there's a cautionary tale to look at there, you have to just look at Justin Masterson. A guy who we're poised to spend $50 million on, and if you had to do that today, you'd seriously have to think about not pulling the trigger on that, because starting pitching is just such a ethereal commodity that that's why the Indians don't like to go more than 3 years on any deal for a starting pitcher, no matter who it is, because you just don't know year to year what you're going to get, and you're one Tommy John, your one elbow tweak, or your one shoulder pain away from having a Wayne Garland situation on your hands. So it was one thing back in the day when they signed Wayne Garland. Those numbers are laughable today. They paid him gave him a 10-year contract for $2.3 million, $230,000 a year. I thought that was a lot of money, and I guess at the time it sort of was, but you didn't get more than a couple seasons out of Garland, and they were mediocre seasons at that. So it's just, starting pitching is just too susceptible to injury and slump and all other factors. Look at guys like Verlander this year, who's considered the last couple of years the best starting pitcher in baseball, and and he's having a sub 500 year with a 5 ERA. So it's just tough to predict.
Ethereal commodity. You can tell you're a writer, my man. I love it. I always love it when guys say something that I go, whoa, I gotta repeat that. I'll write it down real quick. Like it was a couple weeks ago. Gorman said the Browns had themselves in a kerfluffle, and I said, man, that deserves a timeout right there. Ethereal
there you go.
Commodity.
Kerfluffle is a word we don't use nearly enough. That's a good one.
I've actually found I've looked for ways to use it in life the last couple of weeks just because I go, man, that's a good one, man. Like,
That's right.
That's a conversation starter there in the middle of the right dinner party. But anyway, so
exactly.
Ethereal.
But hey, you were right that a lot depends on what happens. It's a good thing that they're finally coming home and with a chance today to go 4-4 on this trip and come home to a homestand. And yeah, it's going to be a rugged homestand, but this team plays well at home. It's going to be super important to go into the break with some momentum because that way you can at least move forward with the idea that you can contend if you can make a tweak here and there and get some better production out of some of your key guys.
Man, you mentioned Bartolo Colon just moments ago, and as I rolled up the Twitter feed here to see if anything was happening, there's the clip of him swinging the bat and the helmet falling off, and
it's hilarious.
It's the freeze frame of him in perfect mid-swing with the bat the helmet just falling off. It's a great picture. Just a great screenshot of it right here. And I had to, that was what I chuckled about right there that didn't really have any joke attached to it. I go, man.
What's funny about Bartolo is that, first of all, he's about 300 pounds.
He looks like a linebacker.
He's a real roly-poly guy anymore. There was a lot of speculation going on in New York that he looked so bad at the plate, and of course he has to bat every start. And he was 0 for the season until I think maybe about a week or so ago. He got his first hit of the year, was a double, and I don't know, I didn't see the film of the actual hit, but as far as I know, he had like about 30 at bats, and he was 0 for 30, and now he's like 1 for 31 or whatever with this double that he got. But there were people, and I guess all the Mets pitchers are just terrible hitters, even by pitching standards. And so Bart finally got the hit, but there were a lot of Mets writers and fans that were actually predicting that Bart was going to go 0 for the season because he looked so helpless at the plate. So maybe it's time for a return to the American League for Bartolo because at least he won't have to hit.
Oh, he's no Corey Kluber at the plate. Let's just say
That's right.
there. I'm telling you, I'm going to talk about that for the rest of the season, man. Michael Bourne needs to quietly pull Corey Kluber off to the side and go, hey, man, show me that bunt thing you were doing the other day, man, because that was pretty nice, man, because he laid that thing down nice. If he was a half a step faster, he would have beat that thing out, man. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was nice to see Kluber get a base hit. I always love watching the pitchers hit in the National League parks. It's fun. And Kluber, acts like he knows what he's doing. He got a hit the first time up, and the last time he played against the National League team, and the other night he hit the ball pretty hard with 2 strikes, and I think he ground out to short or whatever. But he knows how to put the bat on the ball. That's good to see.
Yeah, for sure. Corey Kluber, my man. Trevor Bauer going out there today to finish things off for the Indians before they come home. And you know what? The mayor called in earlier. One of the things he brought up was the Indians kind of laying the egg the last time they had the big crowd. And I said, hey, get that out of your mind because I'm telling you, through no timing of the play on the field, the Indians have actually stumbled right into another opportunity to fix that because you know for a fact that this next homestand is primed to draw a lot of fans just because of the combination of things coming together. 4th of July weekend, fireworks on Friday and Saturday, the Larry Doby jersey. You've got the bobblehead. Is it Kipnis? Somebody's bobblehead is coming up here Tuesday or something like that. It's the Yankees. It's the Jeter thing. It's Mike Hegan's being honored. It's all of these things coming together, the holiday everything, and they're going to draw some fans, especially in the weekend portion of this. So if they come out here and play well, they kind of get a chance to wipe away the bad taste of that Detroit series.
Yeah, that's true. They've had some times where they have kind of laid an egg, and it's like opening day at Cleveland Browns Stadium. High expectations and some let down fans. But Yeah, you're right. The good crowds are going to be part of it, and the place ought to be jumping here over the next couple of weeks. I'm going on Tuesday, and I don't know what promotion's going on that day. Some kind of bobblehead, you say, for Tuesday?
Tuesday is the Kipnis
yeah,
bobblehead.
It'll be good to get them back home, and we know they play well at home, and hopefully, like I say, you roll into the break with some momentum, and maybe even get some all-star besides Brantley on the team, and we'll have some fun over the break.
You know what? Speaking of both of those, we're going to take a break, and Dan's going to stay with me. We're going to keep talking when we come back. But speaking of the All-Stars and the break there, tomorrow, I believe, is it midnight tomorrow is the deadline for getting your votes in. And Michael Brantley is sitting right there on the outside looking in of the outfielders. He's closing the gap, but he's still got a little bit of room to go. But I think you've got until tomorrow at midnight to vote for the Indians, whether we're talking Brantley, Chisenhall. Hey, man, I said yesterday, Mike said, hey, man, you're nuts if you think more than two are making the All-Star game here. I said, man, you can make an argument for Yanni Gomes because he started so bad, and then he has really stepped it up since then. And, man, I said, I know he won't, but, and then, of course, Kluber. So any combination of the four of them is in the discussion here. But he said if all four make it, he walks to Minnesota. I said, hey, I may have to see if we can't load the stuff the ballot box here just to see that. But all of those guys in the discussion, wouldn't you think?
In the discussion, but I think realistically it's going to be Brantley and possibly Kluber. I don't think anything beyond that happens. I don't think Lonnie makes it.
Really?
Because he's just not well enough known and as widely enough known. But because the managers select the pitchers, I think Kluber has demonstrated that he's deserving. And he's got a shot to go alongside Brantley, but I think that's it, realistically.
Yeah, you know what? Mike's point with Chisenhall was that he should make it, and it really is hard to argue leaving the leading hitter off of the All-Star team. Like, that is the one thing that I think will make the best argument for Lonnie to make the team. But Mike was saying that just the simple thing that if he's in this same position next year, then they can go, hey, it's not a fluke, it's the real deal. He earned it. He was there last year. He came back this year, and being in a strong position again next year, he'd be in a better position. But I still think it's hard. That's one of those things that those ESPN shows will do a whole segment arguing, how do you leave the leading hitter in batting average off the All-Star team, assuming that is the situation.
Right, and the only problem with that is that for the first half of the year, the first 3 months of the season, fans have looked at the stats for batting average, and they haven't seen Lonnie Chisenhall's name there because it hasn't been there. So, he's not widely known around baseball among the casual fan as being the leading hitter in the American League because his name hasn't been on that list because he hasn't had enough plate appearances. So that's, like I said, it's not widely enough known that he's leading the league in hitting. Although he'll be on that list here within a couple of more days.
And even media around Major League Baseball that write their stories, like him not being at the top of that list, media outside of Cleveland even may not have even known the type of season he was having when they're just looking at statistics and the top 20s and all of that stuff. So even getting that extra press, that ancillary, where you're mentioned in articles on MLB.com and things like that, some of that stuff is avoided by not being, as perfect example, like you said, not being on that list for nearly the first half of the first half. So that hurts you in many different ways, with the fans, with the media, with the exposure, with them talking about you on ESPN, because Lord knows those guys, anybody, sorry to break the curtain, but they don't sit there and watch all those games. They look at the stat sheet real quick and act like they watched them all, and that's what you do. So a lot of people didn't know Lonnie Chisenhall until he's emerged at the top here and really started to get that exposure in the last bit. So it's probably too early, but that will keep him in the discussion. I'm with you. I think Kluber's got to go, and having Francona as part of the decision makers there will probably put that over the top.
Yeah, that certainly can't hurt. And even though his one-loss record isn't terribly impressive,
it's not
his ERA is, and people around baseball know what kind of first half Corey Kluber's had. He's suffered from a lack of run support, and if you've got that ERA right around that 3.0 mark, which he does, you're getting the job done as a starting pitcher in the American League.
Yeah, that win-loss record is not at all reflective of the first half that Corey Kluber's had, and I think we all know that. And Terry Francona does, and that's what I mean. When the argument comes down to picking that staff, he can obviously will voice that better than somebody else would. So I think that's the advantage, is having him there. Plus, with Farrell, they all like each other there, so I'm pretty sure that that'll work out to Kluber's advantage. Hey, let's get a break. Let's get some news in. Dan, don't go anywhere. Let's come back. Let's keep the conversation going. Let's talk a bit about the Cavs. You and I didn't get to Cavs draft and some free agent news, as they've got Gordon Hayward in town, and word is they're going to make a contract offer. He is a restricted free agent, though, so I don't know how much that matters. We'll talk about it, though. We'll talk some Buckeyes recruiting. Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fans here. I'm J-Rocc. This is the Sports Fix, Hour 2, coming your way next. Don't go anywhere.
And now, a very special announcement from the Sports Fix.
Black bears weigh between 200 and 500 pounds. Brown bears weigh between 300 and over 1,000 pounds. Black bears run away from you. Brown bears run at you. When attacked by a bear, simply lie still on the ground and cover your face and head with your hands. When the bear has finished batting you around and mauling you, contact the U.S. Forest Service.
And that was a message from the Sports Fix.
Hey guys, before we go to the break, I want to talk to you a little bit again about our good friends at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted. Of course, during Brown season, we're there each and every week. What a fun time it was last year. But not just that, so many more reasons for you to check out the Harry Buffalo today. The UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championships, some of the hottest fights in the world today. Each and every one of their huge events. Harry Buffalo is one of the few places in Northeast Ohio you can go there and watch each and every UFC fight at the Harry Buffalo. And let me tell you, I've been there. The people are out the door. They are to the rafters. It is one of the craziest environments for some UFC fights. Wing Mondays, they've got great deals on wings and drinks, and every day of the week there's a different special, a different deal. And don't forget the Bison Burger, the unbelievable. It is the combination of a fantastic burger and eating healthy combined into one unbelievable sandwich. You have got to get a Bison Burger while you're there. So whatever you're looking for, whatever day of the week, Monday through Friday, Saturday, Sundays, there's something for you at the Harry Buffalo North Olmsted, just outside Great Northern Mall. Check them out today. Harry Buffalo, join the herd.
Hey, this is Scott Fujita, and you're listening to the Sports Fix.
Business owners and professionals, do you want to take your business, your product, your team, your event to the next level? You want to advertise right here with the Sports Fix. Our listeners are among the most loyal listeners, terrestrial or internet. The Sports Fix universe is not only the radio show, but tens of thousands of fans on Facebook and Twitter. Email me, Jerry Myers, thesportsfix@AOL.com. That's thesportsfix@AOL.com. And let me help you swing for the fences and hit it out of the park right here on the Sports Fix.
Sports Fix listeners, do you tweet? So do we. So tweet with us 24/7 at the Sports Fix CLE.
Whether it's an oil change or a new set of tires, Quick Lane at Valley Ford Truck has you covered for your automotive car care needs. They're your neighborhood quick service experts. They also offer a low price tire guarantee. Choose from 13 brands, and if you find the same tires at a lower price within 30 days, Quick Lane at Valley Ford will refund the difference. They're open late Monday through Thursday until 9 p.m. and open early Saturday so you can check it off your to-do list and get on with your day. They also have a newly remodeled service lounge and additional service bay just for Quick Lane oil changes. Quick Lane at Valley Ford Truck is located at 5715 Canal Road, right under the 480 bridge in Valley View, just down the road from Independence. 5715 Canal Road, right under the 480 bridge in Valley View, just down the road from Independence. Come see why life is better in the Quick Lane. QuickLane.com/Valley Ford Truck. That's QuickLane.com/Valley Ford Truck.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Signs and Ship, the official printing source of the Sports Fix. Locations in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and Florida. Find out more at signsandship.com.
News break.
Good morning, I'm Bob Picozzi. He coached the Memphis Grizzlies to an appearance in the NBA Western Finals 2 years ago. Lionel Hollins now appears to be Brooklyn-bound. ESPN's Mark Stein reporting the Nets are expected to complete a deal later today, naming Hollins to replace Jason Kidd. It's the first of 2 straight days off of the World Cup. The U.S. is heading home following a gut-wrenching loss to Belgium in extra time yesterday in the round of 16. Jurgen Klinsmann says he wants to return to coach the U.S. in the 2018 World Cup.
There's still the mental approach. I think, we gotta learn more and more. I think we're kind of in that process to take our game to the opponent, no matter what their name is. Here and there, we kind of just wait a little bit too long to start our game.
U.S. was shut out yesterday for the first 106 minutes against Belgium. The quarterfinals today at Wimbledon, now live on ESPN and ESPN2. 2-seed and defending champ Andy Murray is in a heap of trouble. He dropped the first 2 sets to 11-seed Grigor Dimitrov and trails Love 1 in the third. Top-seeded Novak Djokovic split the first 2 sets with Marin Cilic 6-1, 3-6.
Is your car's air conditioning not blowing cold enough air? Bring back the cold in under 10 minutes with do-it-yourself AC Pro. AC Pro's fast, easy. You don't need any special tools or skills. Go to acprocold.com for the store nearest you.
Now, back to the Sports Fix.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix Live here on the sportsfix.net and on Mixler.com and most days, not today, on the Spreaker and TuneIn and their mobile applications as well, and worldwide on digital delay 24/7 on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, SoundCloud, all of the other podcast formats as well. Welcome in. J-Rocc with you guys here as we roll into hour 2 of the show. Last show of the week before we head into the long Independence Day weekend. I'm telling you, I said it earlier. I'm not going to lie. Got a couple of inflatable swans over here. Hey, and let me tell you, not the easiest thing to come by, okay? Ducks are easy. Swans, that's a little different level of searching, but I got a couple. I'm not going to lie, I got a little ace of the spades going on, man. A little Motorhead playing in the back. That's not what they mean by ace of spades, is it? Oh, man, I knew it. I knew they were talking about something else. But anyways, goose, swan, we're all good for this weekend, man. And hopefully you guys are too, as a summertime blowout on the verge, on the horizon here. We're into July. We're back into hour 2 of the Sports Fix. And Dan Wismar's back on the phone lines. You can keep the conversation going on Facebook and Twitter, facebook.com/The Sports Fix. Tweet with us at The Sports Fix CLE. Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan on the phone lines. And as I said before the break, Dan, you with me?
I am with you, sir.
The Cleveland Cavaliers here active, and I don't expect this to mean much, but they made their first dive here outside of Kyrie Irving, which we'll talk about in a minute. Gordon Hayward from the Jazz, a restricted free agent. He has been offered a 4-year, $62 million maximum contract by the Cavaliers. The Jazz have 3 days to match it, and it is highly expected that they will do so. This was one of those, you go out there and get the money and we'll match it, kind of like what we went through with Alex Mack here, and I'm glad. I see Vashon in the chat room before I can even get the words out of my mouth. I don't think it was worth it, but you get the whole having to pay a premium, I guess, in Cleveland. But to me, best thing that could happen for the Cavs is for them to match that, because that's pretty hefty. And it's actually $14 million in the first year, and then I think it goes a couple of $12 and an $11 million year. But regardless, max contract offer for a 16-point-a-game forward. And hey, I like a lot about his skill set, but that's a truckload of money for Gordon Hayward.
Yeah, it is, and I think really what this tells you is the kind of player that David Blatt wants to go after.
Yeah.
I think more than anything else, that's what I read into it. You get him or you don't get him. It shows you some aggressiveness on the part of the front office, and the idea that the draft was just the beginning and not the end, maybe not even the middle, and they're going to go out and go after star quality players and shooters. I think everybody knows at this point that David Blatt is going to be gearing this offense towards a strong outside shooting presence, really at all positions, and that's what the Hayward move means to me, at least as a guy who doesn't claim to be a big X's and O's guy when it comes to basketball. But you got to like just the aggressiveness from the front office, whether you get him or you don't. And as far as how it impacts on salary caps and things like that, that's not my bailiwick.
No, I'm with you there. My thing with Gordon Hayward is more that I liked him the last couple of years as he was on his upward trend. I remember him from Butler, and as he was on his upward climb, my thing is last year he took more shots, more three-pointers than any of his previous seasons, and he shot his worst three-point percentage by far of his career. He was down to 30%, which is okay, but I mean, earlier in his career, he had some much better averages. I don't know. I mean, I like his athleticism. I obviously, like you said, I like basically, maybe it's just not the Cavs, it's the NBA in general. What I'm seeing here from some of the early contract offers that are out there is just the ridiculous amount of money that the mid-range type NBA guy is going to get here. You know what I mean? The second and third tier guys, the level of pay, their level's going up this offseason. And I said that even Monday, that once LeBron and Melo and those guys, once they come off, then you'll really see some guys with a lot of leftover money just throwing it at guys and overpaying for guys. But I think that the second and third tier free agents are really going to cash in this offseason.
Well, yeah, and we'll see. It's always a head-scratcher to me, the amounts of money that are thrown around. It's just mind-boggling. And like you say, it's not for superstars. It's for, utility infielders, the NBA equivalent of the utility infielder, role players that are getting just monstrous money. And, who knows? That's the way it's going. And, who are you and I to say it's out of line, because it is where the line is. I mean, that's where we are these days with mediocre players making $5, $8, $10 million.
The whole thing, it's like, how when you use a term too much and it becomes normal when it was meant to be a term of like extreme, like max contract is meant to, when it was initially thought up here with the whole way they put the thing together, that's what the very best players are going to make this. This is the peak amount for the best of the best, the cream of the crop. I mean, but literally now, we could say, even if you like Gordon Hayward and his fit, he's easily a second or third tier level free agent NBA player. You know what I mean? So to look at that amount of money and to have it called max contract, and it's like, well, now that just everybody gets the max. Like they play long enough and they get the max. And I know that's a little facetious, but not really. I mean, it just starts to equivalate the top contract, and so now we'll just have 100 guys that get the quote-unquote max. That kind of defeats the purpose of the word max. That means the best, the most that one player could get. If Tim Duncan and LeBron James deserve a max contract, then how do all these other people too? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's at least the NBA does one thing right, and that is it gives an advantage to the team to keep their best players by allowing them to offer them more money and sooner than anybody else can offer it to them. And you sort of wish that baseball and football would follow suit, especially in a small market like ours, to give the advantage to the incumbent team, the team that has the guy now, to retain the best players. NBA does a pretty good job of that. The Kyrie Irving signing the other day is evidence of that. That we can offer more than anyone else can offer him, and we can pay him more money up front and get it to him sooner. And there are lots of incentives built in to help a team keep their own best players. That's, at least to me, is where the NBA has a lead on their lodge brothers in baseball and football.
Now that part of it, I'm with you on. I mean, hey, I said this. I said it would have been unprecedented for Kyrie Irving to turn down that extension, because even LeBron, he did not turn it down. He made it the shorter one so he could get out sooner than the other guys who signed the same extension. But regardless, there's only a once in a generation of those LeBrons, the Shaq, the type of guy that do that kind of thing. And I'm like, Kyrie is not that guy. You cannot sacrifice walking away from nearly 100. That video of him dancing, I said, man, I'd be dancing too, because I just became not just a millionaire, but a 100 millionaire. Like, that's a different level of millionaire even than just the old standard millionaire. So I'd be dancing up on a coffee table too and putting that thing out on YouTube. But you're right, it does, at least for no other reason than financial reason, allow these teams to keep their draft picks for at least the first 7 or 8 years of their career.
Yeah, and I think the league realizes that that's good for the league. It's good for fan bases to, come to identify and not have every single star player be a, carpetbagger with, 4 or 5 stickers on his suitcase by the time his career's over, and just moving around every 2 or 3, 4 years to the team with the fattest wallet. They know that it's better for their league if they can build some player identity and keep players with the teams that drafted them for, like you say, 6 or 7 years at least, and then hopefully longer than that.
I'll tell you what would you do if you were that young and you had $100 million dropped in your lap? What kind of dance would you have put out there on YouTube?
I think I'd be I'd be drinking champagne on an inflatable swan.
Yes.
Something like that. Just a crazy idea. It's just something I've always wanted to do, is, be in a swimming pool with an inflatable swan sucking on a champagne bottle. And that's, no, I kid. By the way, and I don't mean to take it this direction, but Justin Bieber.
Here we go.
Really, John? I think now when you look up attention whore in the dictionary, I think Johnny's picture is now there in the latest edition of the dictionary. But anyway, that's enough about that. I won't even go down that road. Because eventually I want to talk about what the big day that the Buckeyes had today.
Oh yeah, we're getting to it. You're listening to the Sports Fix. J-Rocc and Dan Wismar here talking, and again, latest here with the Cavs. And by the way, how do you feel, real quick, before we switch off of that? Okay, they made the offer, Kyrie accepted. I mean, now that that's taken care of, clearly what the Cavs are saying, and I keep doing this, and once decisions are made, I'm not big on rehashing. Like, okay, this is what we got. You could say they shouldn't have offered it to him or whatever. I don't care. This is where we're at, So, Kyrie Irving, Andrew Wiggins, clearly going to be the two guys in front on this franchise for the next at least 5 years. So, what do you think about that pairing and the potential of them growing together? And you know what? Throw in there, too, what I keep reminding to people, and people act like people don't grow up, like years don't pass. Like, I get it. Even the flaws in Kyrie Irving that I point out and talk about, and they're there. If you don't see them, I mean, then you just don't want to see them there. But there's a lot of time for guys to grow and evolve and change. Maybe he won't be that guy, but if he does, if he continues to be more of a team player and develop with the concept, what do you think of those two coming along together for the next 5 years?
Wow, it's exciting, and as much as anything else, forget player personnel, I'm excited about David Blatt. The more I read, the more I see, the more I hear other people talk about him. He's won everywhere he's ever been. Anyone who's ever played for him has nothing but great things to say about him. They love the guy as players. That to me is what has me charged up about the Cavaliers. That hopefully he'll be there for a long time as well. But yeah, that's a dynamic duo. I think it said something about Deion Waiter's future with the organization when I believe it was David Griffin said that Andrew Wiggins, if he's going to be an all-star in this league, it's going to be as a two-guard. I mean, is that a quote that you heard attributed to Griffin, or was it someone else in the organization?
Well, I mean, I've heard several people say that.
Wiggins is a two, is what he was saying, and that's where he's going to make it in the NBA, even at 6'8". That doesn't speak well for the future of Waiters with the organization.
But I think that's more of a projection long term, because I think that you're going to see him more in 3-guard sets there. I think you're going to see a lot of that with him kind of acting as the de facto 3 there with Dion and Kyrie. And plus, obviously, if they bring in a small forward here in free agency or whatever, which they'll probably bring in at least one, you think they have to. But I do think that's the long-term projection. I think, they see him as, I don't know, kind of like, and I hate throwing out names and comparing, because I'm not saying, but I mean, like, people say Kevin Durant's kind of like a 7-foot-tall shooting guard. I mean, they're kind of looking at him as perhaps, being that long, kind of that next generation type too there. So I do think that long term, that's where they project. I really think Dion Waiters, and this is assuming a lot, because I still think the Cavs, after watching everybody spend all this crazy money here in free agency, they're going to pull off a trade. I think that's where they're going to bring somebody impactful in. It's not going to be signing Gordon Hayward or somebody like that. It's going to be making a trade for a guy that is a little bit more impactful. Now that will probably cost you Dion Waiters as one of the pieces, but if he goes forward, then he'll get a chance to show that the three of them can coexist here going forward. But man, the more I see a trade, in the horizons, the more I think he's definitely a piece that you need to include to pry away somebody of a significant value.
Right, yeah, and you still have J-Rocc, and I apologize for not knowing what the status is of Luol Deng, but is he history with the team, or is he still under contract for another year?
No, he's a free agent. He's an unrestricted free agent, and there's several teams interested in him.
That stands to reason, especially if they're
he is somebody that they're interested in.
Swing guy.
They're interested in him. They're going to try, but I think that he ends up going somewhere else. I don't think that he. I just think the not inconsistency, the instability of the couple of months. He happened to be here at the end of one regime and as a replacement, and that's a scary thing, when you hear all the Cleveland remarks anyway, and then while you're there, you watch a coach on his last legs and he gets ran out of town, and you go, you know what? My couple of months in Cleveland were enough for me, but Miami was somebody that I heard was really interested in him. Of course they would be, but he wants more money than what Miami is going to be able to offer. He is definitely looking to get paid here in this contract too. Look what he turned down from Chicago already. So clearly he's expecting, and I think he's one of those guys I'm talking about after LeBron and Carmelo and these guys get their stuff settled. He's one that's going to cash in the most by one of these other cities that thinks he's one of the pieces that'll put him over the top. And don't count out Chicago out of all of that.
Right. Yeah. And the other thing, you just have to look at the front court players. I did see yesterday that they are negotiating with and the name's escaping me, the Serbian power forward that played for Blatt in Europe a couple of years ago, that the Cavs drafted 2 or 3 years ago, 2011 maybe, that they are now opening negotiations with, because he knows Blatt knows him, and the 6'9" power forward rebounder, low post guy, that they're now starting to talk to see if they can bring him in. So they're moving on a lot of different fronts, but more than anything else, I'm becoming more and more of a David Blatt fan, and just because I'm learning more about the guy, and I've yet to see anybody, say a discouraging word about him.
Yeah, I'm with you there too. And Spencer Hall is somebody that I know the Cavs are very interested in seeing if they can convince him to come back. And I think I gotta think that the Cavs have as good a chance of anybody at retaining his services here in free agency. Because I think he played well here. He had a good experience in his last run, and I think he sees that this offense is going to be even better suited to the skill set that he has.
Yeah, that's true. I think a lot of guys that are, offensive-minded players are going to be excited about playing for Blatt, because that's what he brings to the party. And you just have to love the combination of Lou and Blatt. With Lou basically being such a respected defensive mind, and Blatt on the other side of the ball, and the combination of them really should be enough to get Cavs fans excited.
And the thing is, is that the couple of guys that people are most interested in, of course, outside of, LeBron, would be the restricted free agents, which, as they're going to experience here with Hayward, the difficulty in that is that, obviously most of those teams choose to match that offer, so you can't, you end up not gaining any traction there, too. Channing Frye, that's somebody else I've heard of. Greg Monroe, if he was, obviously I think Detroit matches, but man, that's somebody that I would kick the tires on because I like his upside. I like what he's done in his first couple years there in Detroit. I don't know how familiar you are with him, but I think he would be a good one. But again, you're dealing with restricted free agents.
Yeah, and I'd have to say not very in terms of how familiar I am with Monroe, but they're going to be. I like the fact that they're aggressive, and the Griffin is knocking on a lot of doors, and as you say, kicking a lot of tires. So. And I think good things are happening. The franchise is, I think, headed in the right way.
For sure. And I think the fun, if you're just a guy watching teams scramble around, is going to come after these teams that have cleared up all these resources for the one or two main guys. Once those guys fall off, these guys are going to have a ton of money to throw, and they're going to go, we got to do something. We told our fan base that we were going to have $40 million to spend this summer. We got to spend it on somebody. Pau Gasol. How about you take $20 million? Come here. You know what I mean?
Crazy.
You're getting ready to see that.
It's crazy, the numbers
For
that they're
sure.
throwing around, like you say, for mediocre talents. It's a great time to be 7 feet tall. Now, I heard the other day an amazing statistic, and I'd like to check it out, but that 20%, one of every 5 Americans that are 7 feet tall or taller are in the NBA.
Really? 20%?
There aren't that many 7-footers walking around that are not drawing a professional basketball paycheck. The number was 20% that I heard. 20% of all males, obviously under 35 years old,
right.
That are in this country that are that tall are playing basketball at a professional level.
That's nuts. So if you are
all you got to
7
do is
foot tall,
get to be 7 feet. You can't teach height. They say. So if you're, we were talking about it in the context of a kid. There's a kid in Medina here, and I live in Medina County, and there's a guy, a junior to be high school kid for Medina that 6'11", 7 feet. I can't even recall his name right now. He's already been offered by Thad Mott at Ohio State and by Michigan State, and I believe also by Michigan. He's going to be a junior this year, and he's a legit 6'11" and a big kid with excellent skills. He's already, as a 16-year-old, his future is practically guaranteed based on those numbers. But anyway, it's remarkable the money you can earn if you're 7 feet tall.
Man, if you're a kid out there listening right now, just if you're 7 foot tall or if you're projecting that way, you're right there, man. Millions, 1 in 5. Those are better odds than any lottery ticket you're going to get. Those are better odds. Those are better odds than getting your paycheck every week from your job. You better look into that basketball thing there, man. I'll tell you what. You know what? Talking about young kids too, you brought it up earlier. Let's segue a little bit. Good way to branch off of that here as we and I'll tell you what, by the time we get to you and I talking next week, we'll have a lot of updates here on the Cavs front. But the Buckeyes recruiting, big week for them, a lot going on. You're my go-to Buckeye guy. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, it's a big day today because just this morning they landed 2 huge commitments. Justin Hilliard, the linebacker from St. Xavier in Cincinnati, not a surprise to most close recruiting followers of OSU. Over the last week or so, it's been a fairly foregone conclusion that he was going to be a Buckeye. Came down to Notre Dame and Ohio State. But it's significant for a lot of reasons. Namely, the last 3 or 4 years, the best outside linebacker in the state of Ohio and one of the best in the country has gotten away from us. Trey Priest went down to Alabama. Jordan Hicks went down to Texas. Both those kids were Ohio kids that got away. This is the number 1 outside linebacker in the country, Justin Hilliard. Significant, again, because, A, he's an Ohio boy that we're able to keep at home. Secondly, he was from Cincinnati, which traditionally has not been a strong OSU recruiting hotbed. And he's a parochial school kid who I was St. X, and those guys tend to gravitate to Notre Dame or elsewhere. And a lot of times they leave the state So for all those reasons, landing Justin Hilliard was huge. Plus, he's a natural leader of a kid. He's one of these guys that's already talking about the recruits he's going to bring along with him. Again, Jerry, it's also important because what we've seen at Ohio State at the linebacker positions for the last several years, Ryan Shazier accepted, has not been up to snuff, and Urban Meyer would be the first person to tell you that. It hasn't been, as he calls it, Ohio State-ish in terms of linebacking performance. Based on the last three classes now, 2 years ago, the one that brought in Darren Lee and Chris Worley and Trey Johnson, the kids that are arriving this fall, Booker from St. V's, Berger from Ignatius, and Raekwon McMillan out of Georgia, a stud class of linebackers. And now, this year, they've already landed Nick Connor out of Dublin. Now Justin Hilliard comes in. They're rumored to be the leaders for Jerome Baker, the kid from Benedictine. So that'll be three stellar linebacking classes in a row for Urban Meyer. And suffice to say, we'll be getting back to Ohio State-ish linebacker play here very quickly, and that can't happen too soon because it's been bad the last couple of years. So the linebacking woes of Ohio State are pretty much over, especially if these kids come in and play even anywhere close to their press clippings.
Exactly.
So
with those
the other kid
coming
today
together,
was a kid named Jay Sean Cornell, a defensive end, strong side DE from a great program in Minneapolis. Creighton, I believe, is the name of the school. It's a big-time football program up there in the Twin Cities. He also was looking at, a kid that could go anywhere he wanted to go, from Alabama to Texas to USC and Notre Dame and Michigan. Signed with the Buckeyes this morning as well. They are on the verge of, they're not done. Before July is over, Urban will have a top 5 recruiting class again. He's already, with these two commitments today, jumped up to, number 6 in one ranking, number 8 in another. So, and there's lots more to come, including Damian Harris, the top running back in the country out of Kentucky, is tweeting this morning, sounding like he's about to join this group as well. So there's 3 or 4 more, including the kid Baker from Benedictine I mentioned, and several others that are going to put Urban over the top again, and he's going to be in the top 3 or 4 classes in the country before he's done in February.
Oh, you got that right. And like you said, today alone, just being able to add 2 top 100 prospects, according to the Rivals rankings there is, and as you said, the top-rated inside linebacker, just continuing to strengthen, gets you excited. I know you've got to play the season that's in front of you, but it gets you excited for the next couple of years, seeing that come in there. As you said, getting back to some Ohio State linebacker standards there and those recruiting class. Now you're, I think, starting to see some of the real tangible benefits off the field that come to with Urban Meyer and this regime here at Ohio State.
No doubt. When he showed up, he scrambled that first fall. He hired in November and had only a month or so to work before signing day, and pulled in the no expenses of the world and made a splash. But we all realized that it was going to take a while for him to get those relationships with the high school coaches and really just relationships with kids starting in their sophomore year. So you're talking to them about Ohio State for 2 and 3 years in advance of their decision. And those are the relationships that are just starting to bear fruit now. What you're going to see this fall for Ohio State is a team that is very, very green, very inexperienced, especially in the back 7 on defense, but just absolutely loaded with blue-chip talent. You're going to see kids making freshman and sophomore and first-year starter kinds of mistakes from time to time, but you're going to see a team that at the skill positions on offense and in the back 7 on defense is just loaded to the max with just blue-chip athletes and players. So it might be a stumble here and there this fall, but it's going to be very promising because the talent level is just a notch above what we've seen for the last few seasons.
And that's what I'm talking about. Music to Buckeyes fans' ears. Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan during football season, always talking Buckeyes with us. During the rest of the time, we're talking about all kinds of different things. Before we let you go, and before I go to my last break here, Dan, Bruce, my man, wanted me to ask you a question since you're the trivia guy here. Last night, Brantley started the triple play. First Indians left fielder to do that since 1929. Do you know who the last one was?
No, heck no. No, I don't even have a clue. I'm sorry,
Bruce, see, people are not you, man. Charlie Jameson is who it was. But
wow. That's one for the books there from Bruce. No, I would not have had a clue about that.
Yeah, that's a Bruce question there for sure. And the problem is he probably would have known that off the top of his head. Do you have a trivia on the way out for the week? A holiday weekend trivia?
You're catching me unprepared here today. I'm sorry, I do not have one for you. I'll cook something up and we'll have something for you on Monday.
Sounds good. Dan, thank you so much for being with us here today. This week is all. You got anything planned for the holiday here coming up?
I had a little 4th of July party, I think, on Friday night that are in the plans, and after that, really not too much. Just a lot of R&R, and hopefully catch up on that sleep I lost during this West Coast road trip.
Yeah, you get a little bit of normal Indians watching habits here as they get back to the Eastern time zone, so that's got to make you feel a little better. Dan Wismar, you enjoy your holiday. You and I will catch up on Monday when, unfortunately, I got to go back to work. But enjoy your holiday, and we will talk next week.
Same to you, Jerry. Have a good one.
All right. My man, Dan Wismar. You guys can check him out on theclevelandfan.com. We're going to take a break, come back, and wrap things up for the week. Don't go anywhere. Still one more segment to go here on the Sports Fix.
He's a bad man, just as fine as he can be.
The Sports Fix, your choice for intelligent talk.
That was wonderful. Bravo! I loved that. Oh, it was great.
Intelligent talk.
Well, it was pretty good. Well, it wasn't bad. Well, there were parts of it that weren't very good. It could have been a lot better. I didn't really like it.
These guys must be on the wrong station.
It was pretty terrible. It was bad. It was awful. It was terrible. Get him away! Hey, boo!
Boo! The Sports Fix.
Before we go to the break, guys, I want to talk to you just a second about our friends at GV Art and Design. Baseball's here once again. Cleveland, of course, excited, and GV Artwork teaming up with the Indians, and they're both going to knock it out of the park this season. And listen to some of the new designs they've got for Cleveland baseball fans everywhere. They've dug out an old classic, and they're bringing the heat with the new Wild Thing, Give 'em the Heater Ricky design. GV Artwork is teaming up with Cleveland fan favorite Michael Brantley and created a custom Dr. Smooth t-shirt. Plus, don't forget, they've got the Cleveland That I Glove collection, new tribal and Cleveland That I Love designs for women, and so much more. You can get GV Artwork designs on the website, gvartwork.com. And don't forget to use the sales code FIX10, that's FIX10, and you'll save 10% on your purchase. Or you can check out their new store in Lakewood on Detroit Avenue. Check them out in the Indians team shops and so much more. Cleveland That we all love, GV Art and Design. It's not just a shirt, it's a statement.
It's the Sports Fix. We'll be right back.
No football? No problem at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted. The excitement never stops. Every day of the week brings a different set of food and amazing drink specials.
And now,
fans, Harry Buffalo North Olmsted is the home for every UFC pay-per-view live on the big screens.
Let's get it all!
And let's not forget their mouth-watering trademark, the Bison Burger.
They sure are good.
Nobody does bison like Harry Buffalo. The perfect combination of healthy and delicious.
Hey there, eat up, y'all. You's as good church-going folk. Y'all deserve a little treat.
What are you waiting for? Get to Harry Buffalo, just outside Great Northern Mall today. Harry Buffalo. Join the herd. Sports Fix listeners, like us on Facebook today. Facebook.com/The Sports Fix.
I've been a pro wrestler my whole life, so championship belts have always kind of been a way of life to me. But did you know title belts are quickly becoming the fastest rising and the most popular new way for people to celebrate all kinds of things you never would have thought of before? We use it for our fantasy football league. It's a really cool conversation piece. Office pools, employee of the month, you name it. There's tons of different trophies that you used to buy plaques for. Well, I'm here to tell you about Pro-Am Championship belts, who have the highest quality championship belt with the lowest prices. pieces. Replace those old trophies with stock belts on hand that they can customize for as low as $30. Any occasion, celebrations, awards, championships, fantasy leagues, gifts, plus wrestling, mixed martial arts, boxing. If you need championship belts, check them out. Pro-Am Championship Belts, ProAmBelts.com. Look them up on Facebook, Pro-Am Belts. Trust me, nothing says cool like doing the discount double check with a real championship belt. Just ask Aaron Rodgers. Now you too can have one thanks to Pro-Am Championship Belts.
Hey, you guys are rocking with Reggie Germany, former wide receiver of the Buffalo Bills and Ohio State Buckeye. You're rocking with the Sports Fix.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix final segment here as we wrap up not only the show, we wrap up the week here heading into an extended holiday weekend. Oh, man, I can't lie. I can't wait to get a little bit of a break here. Tomorrow, actually not really a day off for me. A lot of things I got to work on behind the scenes, but then a 3-day weekend. So definitely looking forward to that. Hopefully you guys have got some good plans. If you're doing the firework thing, be safe. I would prefer that everybody return here on Monday with the same amount of fingers and toes and all of that they left here with, if you don't mind. So do me a favor and be careful this weekend as you guys have some fun. Do it, whatever you do, as the song says, but just do it in moderation. Have some fun this weekend, guys. And we got a lot of Indians going on, hopefully filling up Progressive Field here for the Tribe as they come back home. Got to take care of business today. That game coming up in just a little bit. Trevor Bauer taking the mound for them, but a lot of reasons to get to the ballpark, from fireworks to jerseys and bobbleheads and all kinds of things. The Yankees, you name it. If you need a reason, they've probably got one. Dollar dogs, all of that stuff here. Get on out there and fill up Progressive Field. And speaking of that, not only the Indians in action this weekend, the Gladiators couldn't catch up with Doug Plagans before Wednesday here, before today, obviously. I'm talking about the day in the third person. Oh, I'm definitely at the end of the week here. But Portland, the Portland Thunder, first time ever meeting with the Gladiators, 13-1. The Gladiators sit. They've won 4 in a row. They're working their way to the playoffs, and they meet Saturday at 6 p.m., and the Gladiators, hey, if they win and Pittsburgh loses, they will clinch the number 1 spot in the conference and in the division as well. So Gladiators looking to accomplish that as well. You guys get on out there. Always a good time held there. And Doug Plagans, you guys can hear him do the action and tweet with him. He'll give you a shout out. Say, hey, Doug, I heard about you on the Sports Fix. He'll give you a shout out on the broadcast as the Gladiators in action there. World Cup keeps going. The U.S. is out, so the remaining people that still watch soccer here in the United States after that, enjoy the rest of that as well, guys. And, man, I'll tell you what, man, we'll talk about some stuff next week. There's a lot of things going on behind the scenes of the show here, but for now, guys, let's not even focus on that. Indians in action here. We got a holiday weekend, a short week. You guys go out there, have fun, be safe, enjoy the games across the platforms and the sports, and come on back here and talk to us on Monday live. Same bad time, same bad channel. Where else but noon, right here on the Sports Fix. Enjoy your holiday, enjoy your weekend. We'll see you Monday back here on the Sports Fix. We love you, Cleveland. We'll see you next week.
Once in a leap year, never had a beach year. City of the hard knocks. Let one of us make it out the city, bet we all rock. Coming out the east side, where they do not play much. Clouds always looming, we don't see the sun rays much. Still about the paper, gotta make sure the lights on. Just a mistake on the lake to you, but this is my own. Tatted it on my arm, that I represent that. Homie, I'm from Cleveland, I will tell the president that. Hardest, yeah, we been there. Made some of the greats here. Midwest best, this is MGK's, yeah. Shouts out to St. Clair, uptown, yes, y'all. Heading to the flex, get it popping up with Steph Law. Old State monster, this the home of. We are not the empire, but this is where the kings play. Cleveland,